Okay, so I am working on this assembly, which is the control panel in SolidWorks. So we can see that here we've got this pretty simple assembly with a variety of different components. Now I've gone in and I've saved this into my build working directory. And if we go to the build desktop application, we can see that all of these files are showing up as new files as they have not entered the build vault yet. We can open up the working directory by clicking on open and explore. So this is the working directory for the control panel project that we're in right now. And these are the SolidWorks, the drawings, and the assembly files that we had seen in SolidWorks. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to upload all of these files into Build. We can go ahead and click on the Push New Files button and then go ahead and click on Import. Okay, so now that these files are uploaded inside the Build vault, we're gonna see that we see a few different thumbnails. If we open up the data card for one of these designs, we can see that it had, the part number is PCB, the definition, filled out with designs, and the nomenclature stuff filled out. But the nice thing about Build is we also do parent-child relations. So let's take this subassembly for example. Here, if we scroll down the data card, we can see that this subassembly rolls up to the new control panel assembly. And then if we click on View Children Files, we'll also see any of its direct children. Now, if we open up the top level assembly here and we open up its data cards, we'll see that it's not being used anywhere because it's the top level assembly. And then if we click on View Children Files, we can see the full roll-up of all of the components along with any of the quantities for these components as well. Now we're going to go ahead and use the Build Propel integration to pull part numbers from Build and assign them for each of these designs. And then that'll also subsequently generate items inside Propel. So what I can do is I can select all of my files, right click, go to integrations and say link to Propel. And then here it's going to tell me that we can't find any of the part numbers because they don't exist. So let's go ahead and create those items. We'll select a category. For now, we'll just call it a mechanical part and we'll click on create. Now, at this moment, you can fill out a variety of different fields like description, CAD source, product lines, all the information that you would normally fill out in Propel when creating items. You can do that inside this table. We're not going to fill really anything out right now. We'll go ahead and click on create. Great, so you'll see that a part number was generated for each of these designs, and you can see that it's using the part numbering schema that we have set up in Propel, which is ME-00439. Now these files also had this part number get written into them as a custom attribute inside these designs, so a few of these became outdated. Now what you're also going to see is if I right click on this and open up the data card, now if I scroll to the bottom, I'll see that this design is syncing to Propel. So what that really means is it's created an item in Propel, and if I click on View, I can open up that item. So here's that item. Now if I scroll down in here, I can see that the thumbnail image has been automatically generated in Build and synced to Propel. And then I can also go to Attachments and I can see that there's that thumbnail image. It's also going to generate the step and it'll sync the step file in the background. So if we go back into Build, okay, great, it's actually been done. So now if we refresh this item in Propel, we will see that the step file also should get added as an attachment. Great. So that's how you can generate step files automatically in Build and sync that information into Propel, create items from Propel, and automatically pull part numbers from Propel into Build. We're going to do the same thing now and move on to bombs. So for assemblies, let's take a look at the connector assembly. So when we open up the data card and the connector subassembly and we go down to View Children Files, we can see that the connector assembly has the connector plug and the connector pin as two components. Now we can see that the connector pin has part number ME00439 and it's being used 7 times in the subassembly, and the connector plug has the part number ME00440 and is being used once. Now, if children are connected to an item in Propel, we now see that there is this Propel icon, and we can toggle this on or off if we want to sync that item in the BOM. We do want to do that, so we're going to go ahead and scroll down, and we're going to click on Sync here. And we're going to click on Sync all the way down, so it's going to sync this BOM, and if this assembly had subassemblies, it would sync those as well. Once this is finished syncing, we'll actually see that this item in Propel, which is item ME00442, will have its BOM updated. So I'll go ahead and click on View to open up this item in Propel. And as before, we can see the thumbnail image, we can go to the attachments, and we can see both the thumbnail PNG as well as the subfile that's getting synced. And then now if we click on the BOM tab in Propel, we can also see the 2 items have been added to the BOM along with the quantities here. The last part of the Build and Propel integration entails managing change orders directly inside Build and syncing them to a Propel change order. Now what we're going to do is we're first going to create a Propel change. So we're going to go into Propel, click on Change, and click on New Change here. We're going to select DCO, and we're going to call this Propel Demo 1. Now we'll click on Save so that change order gets created. Now, of course, you could do this with ECOs, MCOs, DCOs. For now, we're just going to be doing a document change order. Inside Build, you want to create a release candidate. So we'll go inside ECOs and Revs, and we'll click on Plus New to create our first change order. For now, we'll just click on the 2 connector pins and the connector plugs that we had inside that BOM. We'll click on Next, give it a change order name. So we'll call this Build ECO Demo 1. Go ahead and click on Next, and we'll create this. So here you can see that we generated a unique ID in Build. There's the change order name. If you want, you can enter description. You can also see that there's a variety of different change order attributes that's configurable inside Build. Here are the 2 design files that we can see, and then in Propel, these are the items that it's going to be syncing to. Now we're going to go ahead and link this change order to that change order we just created in Propel. And so here we can see there's the DCO62 called Propel Demo Test or Propel Demo 1. Click on Link. And now that we can see this change order is linked to that change, this build change order is linked to that Propel change. So we'll go and click on Push. And when we push this release candidate into the Propel change order, a few things are going to happen. The first thing is the status of your change in Build is going to change to Propel in Review. If we go to our vault, we can see that the files also will change their revision status to Propel in Review, and will also get locked so that the designer can't change these designs because now it is being managed in an active change order. If we go to the Propel change, and let's go ahead and give this a refresh, we'll see that there are 2 affected items. If we go to the affected items tabs, we can see that those 2 items have been added. Once this change order progresses and gets released, we'll see that in Propel, our revision schema, it'll update it to 01. So let's go ahead and manage this change order just like we normally would in Propel. So we'll move it to doc control. And then we'll move it to the approval state. go ahead and approve this. So again, you're doing the same process you would in Propel for your changes. That workflow is not changed. Now that we've gone through the approval state, Propel will go ahead and release all the affected items. And now in Propel, we can see that these two items have now been released. They are released with revision 01. Now if we go back into Build, you can see that both of those items have also been released with revision 01. If we go to the ECOs and Revs tab, this change also gets the status to be updated to released. And if we open this up, we can see again it's released. Here are the two design files that were part of the change order. The status went to released and the new revision was 01. So with the Build and Propel integration, you have three major workflows. One is pulling part numbers and creating items in Propel directly from Build. The second was syncing bill of materials from CAD into Build and then Build into Propel. And then third was managing change orders and adding design files in change orders directly from Build to Propel, releasing those change orders in Propel and having that information sync back into Build.